Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Hey. What y'all doing back there? Just hanging out? Mm-hmm. So where are we at today? That's right. But as always, we'll be going over 4 again. It helps me reading it twice and going over it twice. You see things you didn't see before, or just it expands on what you've already talked about a little bit. I found 1 or 2 of those this week, but going over Proverbs 4, it starts out like a lot of the chapters in Proverbs starts out saying, this is important, listen up. So I hear ye children, the instruction of a father, and attend to know understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. So he's telling them, what I'm telling you is good doctrine, don't forsake it. He goes on to say, for I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother, which is good, we did on Mother's Day. And he taught me also and said unto me, let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live. So keep your commandments, you're going to live. That's what parents used to teach you, right? How to live as a kid, what to do to stay alive. Like, don't go underwater for a super long period of time because you have to breathe, so don't do that. If you see a fire, don't go jump in it. The simple things that kids wouldn't understand and we kind of think it's funny as adults, but keep my commandments and live. So this is more so from an even more knowledgeable state of being, a more knowledgeable father, whereas not really telling you to stay out of fire to keep from being burned, but telling you at the same time to stay out of fire to keep from being burned, just in a more of an adult sense. So get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, she shall preserve thee, love her, and she shall keep thee. So keep the commandments, and you live, and don't forget it. Wisdom is the principal thing. Principal meaning most important thing, or the word foundational thing. Get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. So when you have this wisdom, and you learn about the things, and you experience them, figure out why. Kind of understand why you're going through it, why it makes you feel the way it does, and how you're supposed to react to it biblically, which is what he gets into. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. She shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall she deliver to thee. So promote thee. It's talking about promotion here. You're getting more wisdom, and the smarter you are in the subject, let's say you get a job anywhere. You start really not knowing a whole lot about it. Say you get a job at a mechanic shop. So if you start out, you don't really know much about stuff. You're listening to somebody tell you what to do. The more and more you understand it, the more wise you become in that area, the more you be trusted to do things on your own until you know how to do all that. Well, think of that in more of a righteous and a holy sense. It'll promote you. The more and more you know about it, the more and more God can use you. You can't use you if you just learned what the Bible was yesterday as much as you can as if you've been studying it for a very long period of time. Same thing with the whole holy walk, the whole spiritual walk. So she shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall she deliver thee. So about that crown of glory, where else do we see that? Crown of glory. A little bit later on, spoiler alert. The hoary head, a crown of glory, it be found in the way of righteousness. And that just means, that word hoary just means like an old head with like a big beard and gray hair, just like an elder's head. That's what it's talking about. So in this head is a crown of glory, and it be filled with righteousness. In that day shall the Lord of hosts be for a crown of glory, and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people. Goes on to say in Isaiah a little bit later on, thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy God. And in 1 Peter 5, and when the chief shepherd shall appear, you shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. So these are all the other times it mentions a particular crown of glory. And except for that first one there, it always says something about with God, or with the Lord, or in that day. So if you notice, Isaiah 28, in that day shall the Lord of hosts be for a crown of glory. So at the end, you're going to get the crown. Isaiah 62, thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem, which is just like think like Caesar, like the Romans, they put that golden wreath around their head. It's kind of like a crown, but not really. It's just something circular that usually goes around the head. Of beauty and residue of his people, and in the hand of the Lord a royal diadem in the hand of God. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, who's that? Who's the chief shepherd? When he comes back, he shall receive a crown of glory. So how do you get that crown of glory? We already can see here that most likely you're not going to get it until the end. That's what it's saying, the old man, the hoary head, the end times when Jesus comes back. So she shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory. So you kind of have to be a little bit wise and keep all these commandments to, in the end, get that crown of glory. So this is more so just explaining why this is important, like it always starts out in. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, for the years of thy life shall be many. I have taught thee in the way of wisdom, I have led thee in the right paths. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened, and when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Take fast hold of instruction, let her not go. Keep her, for she is thy life. So not only is the instruction and the sayings going to extend your life, the years of thy life shall be many, but it is your life. So however long you want to stay in life and having a good life, just keep hold of the instruction. And keep going. The recipe is as simple as that. Enter not into the path of the wicked. Here's where we can go down a path that will not lead us to old age and to long years. And go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. This is even saying just to avoid the evil. I talked about it a little bit last week. Cross the street if you have to. Don't go to work that day if you have to. Take all necessary steps to not even be in a situation to where you are tried. Avoid the fight if possible. You might be able to win the fight, but it's better to not fight in this case. And that's what it's saying here. Just stay away from it altogether. Avoid it. If you are an alcoholic, for example, don't go chill out at a bar. You're going to be around temptation. So if you are particularly prone to certain types of behavior, don't hang out with the people who invoke that particular type of behavior and stuff like that. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is as the shining light, that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. Now we're talking about the end day again. Kind of like it was with the crown of glory. It's just saying keep your light shining until the end too, and that's why you should avoid all of that. Keep going on the whole path, just till you get to the end. The way of the wicked is as darkness, they know not at what they stumble. So they're just walking around at anything, mostly in the way of darkness, and they don't, when you're thinking about how a lot of us once were, just sinners in general, they don't really care about a lot of things about what happens to them. They've lost sort of the consciousness of, would God be okay with this, because they don't really care about what God is. So when they're going and their plans don't work out and they, let's say, get arrested for something or all that, they're not really necessarily either blaming God or worried about God in that, or in general, they don't even know what they're stumbling at. They don't care. They should have known and listened to Proverbs that if you did avoid all this evil, man, you did avoid these works, that's how you would have avoided the situation altogether. A lot of us I know I've been in trouble quite a bit, and you sit there and you're like, should have listened. I should have done something. You know exactly why, kind of when it happens. This is what it's saying here. You know why you're getting punished, but if you're in darkness, things are going to be happening to you and you're not going to know why.
Yeah, you do.
My son, attend to my words, incline thine ear unto my saying. Let them not depart from thine eyes, keep them in the midst of thine heart, for they are life unto those that find them. Again, to extend life, get the wisdom for that. And health to all their flesh. Don't do stuff that's going to hurt you. Alcohol-wise, drug-wise, fornication-wise. The Bible says it destroys your own soul and your own body and all that. Don't do that. Stay alive. Stay healthy. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Guard your heart. Be careful what you start liking. If you fall head over heels desperately just in love for bad rock and roll music, you spend all your time listening to it and going over all that, that could be a problem with that. Guard your heart. Careful what your interests are. Careful what you go into. I'm very skilled and diverse in a lot of things I shouldn't be. Put it that way. So now we kind of have to reel it back and more so take that same energy and that same focus and to become more and more skilled into things that are good so you can help it. If you can do stuff bad really good, you can do stuff good really good as well. That's what it's getting at there. So put away from thee a forward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Forward mouth, just don't go around saying one thing, doing another. Don't go trying to cause trouble with your mouth. Watch for perverse lips. Pretty simple one right there. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand nor the left. Remove thy foot from evil. Here in 26, ponder the path of thy feet. Think about stuff before you do it a little bit. Is what I'm about to do going to help, hurt, or just be neutral and get me to some other place? And if you think about it and you plan out your whole life, the further and further out you can plan it, the more and more you can keep your eye on the prize and stuff. Like Sunday, I know I have to get all this stuff ready. So I start a little bit on Monday, work a little bit, and then I have to do a trivia thing, which admittedly I normally do Wednesday night, put it all together and all thing. But throughout the week, I'm listening to different things and different subjects to do it. But then you get all this stuff together, and now, at least a little bit, whether you wanted to or not, or really considered it or not, you're doing a little bit of God's work, and you're not doing other stuff because, well, I can't. If I go out and do this, I'm going to feel bad getting up there and trying to teach tomorrow. So it kind of restricts you a little bit because you think about it. You got a little bit of a future invested to it. And hopefully an eternity invested to it if you do it right. So that was Proverbs 4, going on to 5. Again, my son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. But listen up. He does it a whole lot. My son, pay attention to this with your ears this time. For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb. Here's the strange woman again. We went over strange man a little bit again in the last chapter. And her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Or sword, not sword. So when you look at honey, it's, even back then, it's just really good. Back then they didn't have candy and sugar and all that stuff very much. The refining process wasn't super far there. So you got things like syrup and all that, but honey was the sweetener. So when you found honey, you were like, yes, I'll get stoned for this. I don't care back then. They didn't have bee suits, I imagine. But they would get honey from it. That's what it's using it here. The most tempting thing almost. Guys, we got to watch out for. It's our anti-soup. It's our kryptonite. It is women a lot. Just, it is what it is. I'll admit to that. So her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Nothing can mess up a good holy God more than a not holy woman. It's as simple as that. Because men can fall a lot easier than I would say a lot of women can, but women have their own struggles and their own battles that they have to deal with. But lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Where does your wife want to eat? Oh, I don't know, you pick there. No, not there. They're movable a little bit, but you can also take this in two different ways. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life. So unless you're doing what I said before, keeping your plan straight, thinking a little bit ahead of what you're going to do, it's easy to let her come in and kind of steer you in different directions. I know I've been steered in many different directions, just going with the flow, being simple. I knew I was ultimately safe and I could get out whenever I wanted to, so I don't know, I kind of played the game, but I shouldn't have even been playing the game. I shouldn't have been playing the system because it was a very dangerous one. So dangerous that the Bible, especially Proverbs, warns about it like she's standing on hell when she's doing that. So where do you think she's drawing you into if she's standing on hell? Gotta watch out for that. But her ways are movable. So what does that exactly mean? That she can move her ways, that she has no tide, no roots to her foundation, or that she can move you because you can't know them all. So you can be taken either way there, but just know that things can change really quick for us and for a lot of people. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh to the door of her house. Again, this is saying cross the street if you have to. If this is going to tempt you, if this is going to be too hard for you, don't trust yourself that you can battle. Avoid the battle altogether and just stay away from it. Don't even go to her house. lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. So, a lot of people my age are coming to the fruition that, what do we do? A lot of us aren't married, a lot of us are divorced a couple of times already and all of that. Well, a lot of our years went to being retarded and silly out there and doing really dumb stuff. So, you kind of got to watch out for that. And it's saying, honor unto others, and thy years to the cruel. Let strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. So you're going to find yourself doing labor, working for somebody else a whole lot. I don't know if it's particularly talking about jobs, but you will be doing the sin for other people. And ultimately all the sin will be for their father, the devil of it. And that is why you won't get wealthy. Just saying there is repercussions for your actions and for your punishment through all of this. And thou mourn at the last when thy flesh and thy body are consumed. And say, how have I hated instructions, and my heart despised reproof? And have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me. Here we go again with this, I should have listened. Boy, if I would want to listen to this person. How many of us here wishes they would have listened to somebody at one point? That thought's ran through your mind. It's like, ooh, yeah, I guess they were right about this one. When you're just broke something really expensive, or now your life's going to be a little bit more harder for a little bit. I've not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. Who's that to some people? I know it's been me before as well. Sit in the midst of the congregation, almost in all evil. Some people will go to church, seeming to be Christian, leave and just go back to doing right, back to whatever they were going to do before, whatever it is Saturday night. There's just no punishment of it. Well, this is what's saying, that one day you're going to be listening or feeling the punishment or the repercussions of your actions. You're going to be thinking about all the times where you heard, I shouldn't be doing this, all the Proverbs you read saying, watch out, you're warned, be warned, listen, and you're going to regret that you didn't do that. Drink the waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Let thy foundations be dispersed abroad, and rivers of waters in the streets. Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee. So it's saying, guard some things. Guard some things. Keep your problems a little bit, or your troubles a little bit to yourself. You can always ask for help and everything. But more so, focus on your own task. Because everybody has their own task with God. Now, we're all here tasked to help each other in this setting. But sometimes when you're out, you can't call up everybody for that. You have to handle your stuff to yourself. Like with Nada's sister, she calls and talks to her every night. Not all of us have to call and talk to Nada's sister for Nada's sister to know that we all care about her and we love her because we work through Nada. Drink out of your own cistern, but also let thy fountains be dispersed abroad. So like we, Eric and I, we have teachings, Sean has the teachings, Gary has music, and we put that out in a Christ-like way onto different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and all these different things. So it's our own business, we're keeping ourselves, but it's also our Father's business that we're trying to disperse out unto all the other cities. So let them be thine own, and not strangers with thee. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Hind is a deer, particular type of girl deer, and roe is a female mountain goat, is what it's called there. And let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. Be satisfied with your girlfriend or the wife you have, biblically. So, so many times you've seen people just like, well, we just got tired of each other. Well, we just got sick of each other. This is specifically saying don't do that. A lot of our culture has been, you see things on different TVs, and like we were saying with the guys with the weak emotions, we get led away by strange women with honey lips and all that it was talking about before. Same thing with women and men and different stuff. So this right here is just saying, if you have to cross the street to avoid that, and like we were talking about before, do it. If you have to turn and flee and run to avoid the temptation of that, do it. Not many things does the Bible say actually flee from this sin, but for fornication and all that, it does say to flee from it. So be satisfied with your wife, be satisfied with your husbands. Don't let that change up. It shouldn't change up anyway, but. And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman, and embrace the bosom of a stranger? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. So just remember, I know you say that, we hear it a lot, but it doesn't really resonate too much. God's watching us. God's watching you. So when you go out and you do these bad things and all that, it's not like Jesus didn't see it. Jesus is sitting in the corner like, what are you doing? I can see this. Especially if you're married and doing other things, or boyfriend and girlfriend and all that. But in everything that we do, Jesus is watching. So why would you waste that and just blatantly doing something he just told you not to do? Do you not know that the eyes of God are upon you? They are. And his own iniquity shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sin. And he shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. So, I've spent at least a year and a half or so, kind of uncording myself, doing everything differently, from just getting so far out of church and out of the right path, I should say. So cutting the cords, you do bind yourself up, and then you realize, all right, well, I'm going to go hang out with some friends, but I know they're going to want to do all this other stuff. Well, I want to go hang out with this person, but I know I shouldn't, because there's always different temptations and stuff there. So you have to uncord yourself, because for a while, and it's easy to be holding with the cords of sin from your own sins. You can tangle the web so deeply. But thankfully, God has delivered me from a whole lot of that. So it's not impossible to get those cords off of you, but it is far better, like Eric says sometimes, it's better to never even leave the path than to leave the path and find your way back. In this sense. And he shall die without instruction. Remember, instruction was life. And in the greatness of his folly, he shall go astray. We will pick up next week.
Very good.
In Proverbs